These new technologies like ChatGPT are now taking over human jobs.
The best advice you can give to parents out there who want their children to be prepared for all this change.
The world will have a shortage of 80 million professionals.
If you want to invest in AI, in what shall you invest? Welcome to Tech Thursdays, Prof. Alexiei Dingli. I'm so honored to have you on our podcast. This is the third episode of this podcast, and at the moment everybody is talking about a huge subject. Something so big that it's gonna take over everything. It's the end of the world. And yeah, this is AI. It's the year of AI kind of thing. Everybody's talking about it, even the World Economic Forum. It was the biggest topic there this year. Prof. Alexiei Dingli, first of all, most of the people now know who you are because of Shark Tank, but for anyone there who doesn't know who you are.
Okay, so thank you, Matthew, for the invite. It's my pleasure to be here with you talking about AI. So I'm Alexiei Dingli. I've been working in AI for the past 23 years now. I was sort of lucky that, back then when I was still a student, I could actually choose AI as one of the topics. After I pursued my first degree, I went to the United Kingdom to read my doctorate. When I finished my doctorate, which was also in AI, I came back and started working in Malta. I remember at the time, even though, there was a boom in ICT, AI wasn't really that sexy at the time. So I had quite some problems to find a job, actually. But then there was an opening at university after a few years. So I moved over to university where I could, pursue my career. I could do my research and also interact with people and organizations to help them in the digital transformation using AI.
So it's impressive to hear you say that you've been working in AI for 23 years. Many people, as we were saying before, think that AI is something of last year. ChatGPT launched and AI started. AI came into this world. No, it's been there so for how many years?
Actually, things really started around the Second World War. When the famous British mathematician Alan Turing actually decided to build this huge calculator, which at the time was known as the Colossus. And thanks to the Colossus and the analysis of data from the Enigma machine, the Allies managed to decode the exact time and location of the attacks of the Axis. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, that gave them a massive advantage over the enemies. And it is said that because of these calculations, the Allies managed to win the war 2 years before it had to finish. So you can imagine the amount of people that were actually saved by that. After the Second World War, people were thinking and saying, but what else could we do with these machines? And in fact, this led to a famous workshop. It's called the Dartmouth Workshop, mm-hmm. which happened in 1956. Whereby a number of professors got together and decided to tackle the issue of computing together with intelligence.
All right.
Okay? And it was actually at that workshop that the term artificial intelligence was coined. Yes.
All right.
And when they left the workshop, everybody left with different ideas and new things they need to explore. And that is how the field of AI really got started. So what happened was that at the time there was the famous Cold War. No, the West were getting quite a number of Russian documents and they needed to translate them pretty quickly, but didn't have enough people to do that. So they decided to use AI for that. And they actually created these AI algorithms for machine translation. So you give it a Russian document and you get the English translation of it.
All right.
Now, the funny thing, this is an anecdote, okay? So I'm not sure if it happened, but it's a famous anecdote in AI. The funny thing is that they gave it a verse from the Bible, which says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And when it got translated from the Russian to the English version, the translation was, the vodka is good, but the meat is rotten.
But what do you mean? The computer did that?
Yes, because it was a literal translation.
All right.
Now you can't literally translate text between one language and the other.
This exactly is not what today we're calling hallucination. No, it's different.
It was a mistake.
We'll talk about that
It was
later.
a mistake. It was a mistake, yes. And that led to what we call the first AI winter.
All right.
So what it actually means is that, the money drained, nobody wanted to fund AI. So the poor researchers were doing research in the labs.
Interesting.
This led to another build-up in the 80s. It was the time of what were known as expert systems. Okay, so imagine you have a doctor, and the doctor might leave you, he might die, or whatever. So you get the knowledge of that doctor.
Yeah.
You input it in a machine, and then you start asking the machine. Once again, it was very popular, but the technology reached a plateau. We couldn't go beyond a certain level of accuracy. So once again, we had the second AI winter.
And why do you think was that? Because
it was only a matter of lack of technology. So the technology wasn't mature enough, and also lack of physical hardware as well.
All right.
Remember, at the time we were talking about 64K computers. No, I mean,
of course.
Today, not even a mobile has 64K. I mean,
though I'm hearing rumors that even though everybody thinks that Apple is falling behind in AI, I heard a rumor where in which Apple are actually building AI into these. I mean,
I'm sure about that. It's not a rumor.
It's not a rumor anymore.
No.
There's a word for it. I forgot that. So rather than searching on the internet kind of thing, they do all the homework themselves. It happens in the device.
What I can tell you is that Apple have been researching what they call the neural chips. No, so what this means is that these chips have a particular kind of AI directly on them. Okay, they're called neural chips because they're based upon how the brain is structured.
Yeah.
Okay, and in fact, all Apple processors. Especially, the Apple silicon work, they're based upon this neural chips idea. So the idea is that if you place an AI program on these chips, it will run much, much faster because, of course, it's hardware based. Now, the next phase, and what we've seen in these past few years, was the rise of the large language models, like ChatGPT and other technologies. Of course, the problem with those models is that they're big. And a lot of researchers have been asking themselves, but, is bigger better? No, because what OpenAI has been doing is practically creating even larger models. I mean, just to give you an idea, the previous models, GPT-3 or whatever, they're roughly around 180 million parameters, which is massive.
All right.
Non-official statistics say that GPT-4, the version after, has reached around 100 trillion parameters. So can you imagine all those zeros?
And when we say parameters, etc., models, we're talking about data, huge amounts of data collected.
I think you can think of them as, for example, words, no?
Yeah.
Imagine one of them was trained on 180 million words.
All right.
The other on 100 trillion words.
Makes sense.
Okay? They're not exactly words to be technical, but to simplify things, and that's what it is. So people are asking, but is bigger better? Because when it's bigger, you need more processing power, you need better processors, so there's a cost to it as well. And that is why there's a lot of research, back to what you said, of placing these models on our mobile devices. But we need to shrink them now. We can't have those big models on our devices, but we still want the power. So there's a lot of research going on in that direction.
And can that model on a device be updated still?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I mean, you have access to the internet, so they can keep on learning, getting better.
Yes. Today we're talking about these models. The truth is that, in a few years' time, we'll be talking about agents. So this is the precursor of agents. Okay. What are agents? So agents are software programs. Okay. But they have some specific properties. For example, an agent can take decisions, has autonomy.
Right.
So the agent can decide to do a particular action. Simple example: you go to bed at night. The agent notices that it's a rainy day and decides not to open the window for you. So the agent took the decision for you.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Now this, of course, it's a very simple example. Another property of agents is that they can move from one device to another on their own. Okay, so imagine, Matthew, you want to book a holiday, no? So what do? Today you go online, you find the specs, you select what you prefer, etc., etc. In the future, and it's not a very far future, the agent will actually ask you for specific information. It will go. It will speak with other agents, so it will speak with the travel agent, it will speak to transport companies, agents.
With no humans behind them, all computers.
It's as if you send an assistant to do this job for you.
Interesting, all right. And gets you the best prices and stuff?
Everything, yes, and you just confirm it.
Oh, wow.
So this is what we're heading towards.
Wow. And how do you know that it's the best deal kind of thing, with your best preference? Yeah.
Because remember, one of the properties which we push a lot is what we called XAI. All right, XAI means explainable AI. So when an agent or an AI, whatever, all right, takes a decision, that is not enough. He needs to tell me why he took that decision, how he came to that decision. So that I, as a human, can trust that decision.
Yeah. How cool is that? I mean, you are giving us a glimpse to the future,
yes.
Which is so. Is it present or it's in the works? It's present already.
Because remember, one of the problems of agents is that first of all, they had the language barrier. No,
all right, yeah, of course.
A computer couldn't talk our language.
Of course.
Now with technologies like ChatGPT, we have these advanced chatbots that you can
understand easily and
this leads us to what you asked me before, the hallucination. And that is the problem we have today.
Right.
Because I can't have my agent hallucinating with me. Imagine,
of course,
you sent him to book a holiday, you think that he booked everything and he booked nothing. Okay, you can't have that. So at the moment, a lot of research, and I also have students as well, we're trying to build sort of this logical layer on top of the agent, so that whatever they tell us can be verified and validated in a proper way.
I know what hallucination is. I got to know lately, to be honest. Can you explain further what a hallucination is?
Okay, so hallucination is a funny word because technically all the output of a large language model is a hallucination. Okay, so everything is a hallucination for these models. Let me give you an example of how they work. Okay, so that we understand what's happening. So before, when we had the example of the Russians and the English text, it was just a translation. So you have Russian text as input, it went into this AI, all right, and it produced English text. Okay, now the current models which we have today work on a similar approach. Okay, so we have a text as input. So I don't know, I want an image of a car. Okay. It goes into the AI, and these AI are called transformers.
All right.
Why? Because they transform from one language to another practically. Okay? And it generates an image, a text, a video, whatever. Okay? Now, when the output is good, we do not realize that, that was just a hallucination, because this AI has no logical part. It is not thinking what the answer should be.
Yeah.
But when the answer is incorrect, we say it's a hallucination. Okay? Let me give you a very simple example that everyone will understand. Imagine I tell the AI, I want you to give me the answer of 2 + 2. No? The AI might give me 5, 6, 7. It doesn't know. It has no way of knowing that is incorrect.
Of course, we know, because we know the proper value kind of thing.
Yeah.
But isn't there something kind of to match? Kind of, listen, 2 + 2 = 4. This is correct.
No, because
equals 5 is not.
But we know that 2 + 2 = 4 because we can work it out.
Yes.
No? So we can work it out logically. We understand the numbers.
Of course, they don't do that.
They don't do that.
Of course.
That's
it's all about the data.
That's where the hallucination comes. So when the transformer was trained, it gathered loads of documents, these 100 trillion, I'm telling you, pieces of data. And probably somewhere there is a 2 + 2. And probably it's telling us that, listen, the 2 + 2 is probably a 4. And it manages to make that link.
I have a good feeling that some of our viewers, or whoever is listening on Spotify, YouTube, watching on YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, might have some peace of mind hearing this. You know where I'm going? Because people are afraid that, us humans won't be needed anymore, AI will take over and all this stuff. But you are saying that AI can't work things such as 2 + 2 = 4, and no, it's good. It can work it out, but because it existed. Today.
All right. Today, all right? And I'm not talking about all AI, okay? Because of course, there are models that are capable of doing this logically. But I'm talking about this particular kind of AI, which we call generative AI.
All right.
And transformers like ChatGPT are generative AI. So today, these transformers don't manage to do this logical inference.
Yes.
Okay, to think sort of like us.
Yes.
Right? But there's a lot of research, I can tell you, even from our end, that we're trying to build this layer on top of them.
How interesting. And once we've mentioned now the fear of people fear AI, people feared computers way before also, and other stuff.
Yes.
I think people fear change and technology overall.
Yes.
Now, obviously, both of us love technology, so we can keep on going, exciting ourselves about AI forever. But whoever is skeptical there, what's the truth? What's coming up?
Okay, so the truth is that in the coming years, we'll pass through a lot of changes. I think I dare say that this would be akin to the Industrial Revolution that happened more than 100 years ago.
Makes sense.
It was a massive change. People started having access to technology. It changed their world upside down, and probably the same will happen now. Now, the problem, as you said, Matthew, is that people are not prepared because, change is change. Not everyone is happy with change. And if we have to be honest, some people will hurt with this change as well. No? So that is why I always advocate that now is the right time to start preparing for this change.
Right.
Because it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when it happens. And from what we're seeing, things are accelerating quite a lot. Okay. Before you mentioned the World Economic Forum, and I'll mention two statistics from the World Economic Forum. In 2020, when they published the Future of Jobs report, they estimated that AI will displace around 83 million jobs worldwide, but it will create 96 million new jobs. Now, these new jobs are jobs which probably have no idea what they are. They still need to be invented.
Makes sense.
Last year, and remember, last year was after the COVID, with the wars going on, with problem with trade, issues also because of ChatGPT.
Electronic supply.
Exactly. So they decided to redo the survey last year. And last year, the predictions came that by 2027, AI will displace around 83 million jobs. So we're pretty much there. But it will create 65 million new jobs.
All right.
So there's a drop there, a drop of around almost 30 million jobs. And the drop now is coming because these new technologies like Gen AI, like ChatGPT, are now taking over human jobs. So jobs which before we thought, listen, these are safe jobs, the humans will keep on doing.
Kind of thing.
Exactly. So now we're seeing this shift.
Okay.
And that is why I said before, listen, guys, you need to start preparing from now, because this is the world we're living in. Earlier last year as well, I interviewed a banker, a financial banker from Toronto in Canada, and he told me something which struck with me. And he told me, listen, I do not employ juniors anymore. And I told him, why? He told me, why should I? When I can get an AI which does
do
the
all
job.
the basic stuff.
Exactly. For cheaper, probably better.
Interesting.
And I don't need a junior. So we're seeing this dynamic changing.
But then the tricky part is, how will that junior get
Become a senior.
become a senior, that's
Exactly. That was exactly my thought. So I think we need to, reinvent things, no? And it's not just about the workers of today, but maybe we do not give enough weight as well to the workers of tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, listen, we need to change down there the educational system, because we can't keep on teaching our children with the the factory model which we had before.
I totally agree.
We need to get the full potential of each and every child. And what's ironic about all this? So on one end, we're seeing that there are a number of people that whose job might be endangered in the coming years. But the irony is that by 2030, the world will have a shortage of 80 million professionals. And
in AI, most probably also.
Professionals overall, but mainly in technology.
Yeah.
So let's not call it AI, no?
Right. Okay.
But let's say in different aspects of technology.
Makes sense.
Because technology will become so widespread that we need this expertise. And let me give you a concrete example. This is something I've been following since 2017. So back then I was noticing that in the Far East, okay, there were factories called dark factories or lights out manufacturing. Now the title is a hint, no?
Lights out manufacturing.
They don't use lights
Without
in these
light,
factories.
yeah,
Why? Because there are no people. It's just robots.
All right.
So you don't need
You don't need
lighting
all right.
over there. And last year I got to know that in Malta the first factory opened. Okay. Now think about the big shift which this factory will do. Before, if I was, I don't know, into education or whatever, I would hope for a factory job, no? So I would go there and work at the factory, so it would be low skilled, probably low paid as well, no? And I'd spend my time over there. Now with these factories and automations, you won't have these jobs anymore. So these are finished. Okay? But on the other hand, these robots need maintenance.
Of course.
So this
Engineers.
company in Malta needs 120 engineers, which is a very big number.
Wow.
So you can imagine that there's this shift from low-skilled, low-paid to high-skilled, high-paid. And that is why by 2030 we'll have a deficiency of specialized individuals. And that will be a big problem which the world will face as well.
So we need as many specialized individuals as possible soon.
Yes.
Long story short. So the people who shall be afraid most for now, the most urgent kind of thing, are the low-skilled workers kind of thing? Because
I think it will be a mix. We can't say that, okay? Like in the example I gave you before, I think that a lot of junior jobs, irrespective of where they are, will start disappearing, okay? Because I can give you case studies of anything. For example, law. No? Who would think that law would be one of them?
Of course.
A few years back, I saw a case study of this AI program called Law Geeks. Okay, so they gave him a number of contracts. They were non-disclosure agreements. Okay, and they gave the same contracts to top New York lawyers. Okay, and they asked them to review them and come up with the errors or suggestions, whatever. Now, the top corporate lawyers, okay, took 1.5 hours to go through these documents and achieved 94% accuracy. The AI took 26 seconds and achieved 95% accuracy.
All right. Yeah.
So you see, the technology is seeping in practically all applications. And it's only a matter of fact, I think, until people discover it. Because what I'm noticing is that, people might have heard about it, but they haven't actually
discovered
today. So I think once they do discover it, we'll see massive changes. Even like last year, I've been having a lot of discussions with teachers. No?
In fact, I was going to mention education because it looks like a super
important
important
why?
topic.
Because a lot of students are now using ChatGPT.
Yeah, of course.
So they have a big problem.
Of course.
But one of the issues as well was that teachers were not aware about the potential of these tools. And when I was showing them sort of how to use it and how to use it effectively, because that's another issue, people need training as well to use them well, they realized that, a job which would take them hours every week is now reduced to a few minutes. So the amount of productivity which everyone will gain with this technology is massive. I read a study by the MIT, and it was recently as well confirmed by Microsoft, is that these tools like ChatGPT, etc., they can increase your productivity by 40%. It's not a joke, 40%.
I mean, if you see the AI as an enabler kind of thing, it can power humans.
Indeed.
Sometimes I think, me being positive and optimistic, I'm very positive that AI will solve much of our climate change problems. Can it be the case? I know it's a statement.
Who knows? It can definitely help us to, reason, analyze different data. So I'm sure it will have a big sort of say in something like that. No, don't forget, Matthew, that recently, when there was the pandemic, the vaccine was found with AI.
That's it. In a short period.
Very short period.
Which was super essential.
What it can do is, it can reduce the decision-making process. And of course, making it better because it can analyze so much more information than
in such a short time. That's why I'm hopeful about that. I mean, because if it's not that, we're kind of a bit.
But remember, if we go to climate change, we have to take bold decisions as well.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned education, and I want to expand a bit more on that. So, my worry isn't myself, to be honest, or my job or whatever. It's not because I think I'm a hero, not at all. But my biggest worry now that I'm a father is my son. So what is the best advice you can give to parents out there who want their children to be 100% or at least 80% prepared for all this change?
Well, I think as things stands today, the problem is that our educational system is not really preparing the children for these technologies. Some of them do, Ġifieri, I don't want to throw blanket statements, but sometimes you're at the dependency of the teacher that's actually teaching you. So if I'm a teacher that I'm confident with technology, most probably I'll be exposed quite a lot. If I'm not, then most probably I won't. So I think my advice would be to expose children to these technology as much as possible. I always say that unfortunately our system, and thank God at the moment there's a reform going on, a discussion going on. So I'm hopeful that things go for the better. Yes, but unfortunately so far our system is very much dependent on content. And that's the wrong approach, because today you open your mobile device and you have any content you want.
Exactly.
So I think it's more important to focus on things like problem solving, critical thinking, analysis. For example, a big problem which we'll have in the near future, even this year, is the I like to call it tsunami of fake news.
Yeah.
So people need to read a piece of information and decide whether that information is good or not.
How good?
Have an opinion, no? And unfortunately, I don't think we're teaching our children enough these things. So what I suggest is expose your kids to anything. No, it's not just about AI, but what I really would love to see is that I sow the seed of curiosity in children.
How cool.
And children are naturally curious.
Of course.
But sometimes we as I like to say, we place them in a box, no, and expect them to fit in that box.
And that's it. That's your
It doesn't work like that. We need to encourage that curiosity and help them look for more.
Well, I just love the statement that you've just made, and imagine keeping that curiosity of a child when you grow up, because usually then we grow up and bye-bye curiosity.
Matthew, that's my problem. I get into so many things that sometimes I get overwhelmed with.
It's true.
But it's a nice thing about what I do as well, because I have projects in health, I have projects in industry, I have projects in transport, I have projects in education, and that's because I am a curious person by nature, and I think everybody should be like that. No, because if we want to solve. And this is not my quote, okay? I'm quoting someone else. But if we want to solve the problems of tomorrow, we cannot do that with the thinking of today.
Yeah, I love it. I like this fact that, that's the advice, to get your kids as curious as possible and let them roam around, touch things, break things, try again, fail.
And another thing is that tomorrow will be very different than today.
Yeah.
And even for somebody like myself, who, I'm always reading about tomorrow, it's hard to imagine what it will be. I mean, let me give you just one statistic. This is a statistic by LinkedIn, okay? They estimate that by 2030, all right, 65% of the skills, all right, so we're saying 2/3 of the skills that will be needed back then are totally different than what we have today, that's what we're teaching today. And some of them, are maybe things which we don't even know about. So imagine what kind of world we'll be living in.
So how can we advise them or help them? We can obviously give human advice, but on that technological level, who knows? Like what happened with our grandparents.
Exactly.
And then us working in programming and smartphone apps and stuff, the iPhone changed the whole world.
The thing is that, as I see it, today things are accelerating even more.
Yeah.
So that is why it's important, be curious and keep on looking for new things.
So they can eventually take their own decisions, hopefully make the right decisions, sometimes not, no problem, but critical thinking is your answer. Yeah. I love that. Thank you very much, Alexiei. Some other questions I asked my audience, which is a small audience for now, we've just started, if they have any questions on AI. And one of them, Ed, who is a photographer, told me, can you ask him specifically? Specifically. How are videographers and photographers going to be affected by this?
Okay. I think you should look for a job.
All right, ciao.
No, but joking apart, we've already seen a lot of change in the past year. I mean, with generative AI, we're already at a stage where, you have an image and you want to modify it or create an image totally from scratch, and it will be created by AI. Now, as you know, these images are impressive. I mean,
Of course.
some of them are photo quality. Sometimes I also write in the prompt award-winning images, and
Yeah.
the output is amazing. So we'll see more on that. And remember, we're just at the beginning. So imagine the quality, etc. So that is one thing. The second thing is I predict that in probably this year we'll be moving towards video.
Yeah.
So video will also have similar technology. So I type a text and I get my video. There are already tools, by the way, that do that, but they do it for a few seconds at the moment. But I'm sure we'll see it for much longer than that and better quality than that.
So long story short, for interrupting.
And in fact, that's why I had my doubts last year when there was the strike in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Because as you know, maybe just for the audience, there was the strike by the actors, and they said, listen, it's not fair that the production houses are scanning our faces and then using them with AI, of course, in the production.
As they want.
As they want. But remember, this has already been happening. I mean, if you take films like Star Wars, one of the main actors, Princess Leia, or General Leia, then actually died before the last movie, so they had to insert her with AI. Now, what's going to happen? And today you can already create virtual actors or actresses exactly how you want them to look. So, the scanning is only a temporary thing.
Yeah.
In a few months' time, you won't even need that because you create your own actors. But then think about the technology. Together with the rigging and placing the actors in exactly the position you want, you can practically make a movie without actors now. Okay? Now,
which is cost effective, let's say.
Of course. But not only that. I mean, think about how entertainment will change, no? So imagine I am watching Indiana Jones, and I always wanted to be Indiana Jones. So today I can take my face now and put it on Harrison Ford.
Oh.
Not exactly the same, but
Yeah.
but
possible.
I'll be there. I'll be Indiana Jones, no?
Interesting.
More than that, if you take, I don't know, Games of Thrones, no? And there was a lot of criticism about the ending.
Being too dark.
Yeah, and that the storyline, I think, because it wasn't actually written before they filmed it, I can actually change the ending. I mean, what's keeping me from asking AI, generate a new ending which ends like this?
I think sometimes, I'm going to contradict myself. Sometimes sometimes you just want to sit and surprise yourself, kind of thing. Whatever the ending is, maybe the fact that the ending was bad, that's part of it, I want to talk about it and stuff.
Yes.
I can't imagine a world where everything is so perfect. That must be really boring. So we want to talk about these bad endings, but AI can give us that too, to be honest. It will surprise us also.
Yes, exactly.
So yeah, I'm more, I think...
So that's the thing. Now, of course, Ed might tell us, but it's true what you're saying. But even today, when you write the prompt, it doesn't come exactly how I want it.
In fact, it gives you 3 versions at least, and you choose the best one, and you might not like one of them. But try again.
You're a professional in this field, no?
Of course.
So before taking the shoot or whatever, probably you have it in your mind.
Yep.
Yes? So the next step would be to read it from your mind.
It's true.
Okay?
I think it will challenge us in this way.
We're already doing that. So last year there was a study where actually they managed to reconstruct thoughts using an fMRI, which is these big machines they use in hospitals.
Yeah.
So they actually read the scans of the brain, and they reconstructed the thought visually. So if I'm thinking of a fish, the AI gave me the image of a fish. Okay?
Wow.
Even at our university.
Without speaking, just the thought.
Just the thought.
So the machine recognized a pattern, and that pattern means fish, let's say.
Yes.
All right, okay.
And that's using these new technologies, the transformers I mentioned before. Even at our universities, I have 2 students at the moment. We're trying to use EEG, so those heads with wires. We're feeding that into an AI, and the AI will give us the word that the person is thinking. Now, of course, you might tell me why you're doing that, because you want to see what Matthew's thinking. No, it's not that the case. but because there are quite a number of people who are paralyzed, but inside.
I see. All right, it's working.
They're thinking 100%.
And they want to communicate.
Exactly, and they're super frustrated because they can't.
Oh.
So we are hoping to give these people a voice.
Right.
So that is where things are moving towards too.
Amazing. This is the amazing stuff where, a human is a whole powerful
yes.
human now. I mean,
and probably you understand why I enjoy my job.
Of course, because you are giving value.
In fact, Matt, if I can sort of share, that's also how it started, no? I was always into computing, but why AI? Well, the simple reason is that I really like science fiction, and when you look at these movies, you say, can I do that?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I can't do it exactly, but somewhere close I can.
So curiosity got you here.
Yes.
It's impressive. It's impressive. I still think that some people out there will think that AI will be the end of the world, etc. But
No.
let's say that's the case. Let's say that's the case just for the fun of it. All right?
Not for now.
Not for now. But let's say that's the case for the fun of it only. Because this leads to the next question.
Okay.
Let's say the end of the world is coming. Might as well make some money out of it. So my question is, if you want to invest in AI, in what shall you invest?
First of all, you need to be very careful, okay? Because today, everything is AI, okay? So, if I sell mugs, I will tell you that this mug is an AI mug. So we have to be very careful. There's a lot of noise. I remember a few years back, the EU made a survey with AI startups in the EU, okay? 40% had no AI. These are AI startups.
It was just...
Yes. So, people try to ride the wave, no? And they say,
true.
It's AI.
It's true.
So you have to be very careful whether it's AI or not. The second one is that I would go for technologies which are on the rise. So generative AI, these sort of Gen AI technologies.
Yeah.
I think they're here to stay, even though, as I maybe hinted before, they're not the ultimate thing.
All right.
For the reason I told you, they select the logical part, and there's a lot of research going on in that direction. So we might meet up next year, and I tell you, listen, today there's this new technology which is taking over.
And what about the big tech like Amazon,
definitely,
Microsoft, Apple?
I would at this stage. Now here I'm a little biased, okay?
Yeah.
No, two companies which I would definitely follow really are Microsoft, because I think how they are capitalizing on AI, especially with Copilot, I think they're doing a good job, and I estimate that probably by next year most people who use Office would use Copilot. Because it's such a good tool. Good tool. I'm not promoting it, okay?
Sure.
But I'm saying that it gives you so much savings in time and productivity that everybody will.
It might be the first step towards you using AI out there, right?
Yes.
Rather than ChatGPT together with.
But Copilot uses the technology of ChatGPT. Okay, so if I'm writing a document, it's helping me. If it's a presentation, it gives me the text and the photos.
All right.
If it's Excel, it's calculating things for me.
Yeah.
So it
might as well just use Copilot rather than ChatGPT itself.
So I think that's what will happen. The second one is probably Apple. Now here I'm a big fan of Apple, all right.
I am also, so mind our bias.
But what's been happening in the past years is that people have been saying that Apple has been losing the race, especially with AI, because it's true, they haven't done much when it comes to AI. But when you see their latest gadget, the Apple Vision Pro, I mean, that ushers a new dimension.
Yeah.
Right? Because that ushers the world of the metaverse. Now unfortunately, Meta, they started really well with it, but they ruined it, unfortunately, this idea of the metaverse, because they didn't reach the standards. But Apple is now reaching that standards which we need for the metaverse. We're still far away, mind you.
Of course,
okay?
but it's making some noise finally.
Yes, and one of the things that people do not realize is that the Vision Pro, and there are others, but that is the highest quality at the moment. The Vision Pro offers mixed reality. So what this means is that essentially I have this mug, but I can have also virtual objects here, and they can interact between the physical object and the virtual object.
Yeah.
Okay.
Makes sense.
That opens a lot of possibilities. I don't know. I'm walking down Republic Street. I look at a shop, and suddenly the AI pops up what I like inside that shop without going in that shop. Maybe, I don't know, my agents will discuss with the shop agent and even give me a discount because I'm a loyal customer of that shop. So these new possibilities are massive. And today we're not realizing what this will open. Now, of course, going around with a headset is not comfortable. We've seen people.
But for now, that's the technology at the moment.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, our first podcast here was on Meta Ray-Ban smart glasses. I don't know if it doesn't have the technology of the Apple Vision Pro, but it gives a real glimpse of this AI mixed reality thing,
So what I think will happen is that, the things like the Vision Pro will keep on getting smaller and smaller.
Exactly.
Until they become glasses like yours. All right? And when it becomes glasses like yours, everybody will adopt them. So we'll have mass adoption.
Yeah.
So, and I go forward and predict that, probably when they reach that level, they will become the phone killer. We will not use any phone anymore. We'll have glasses and we'll use those glasses.
Yeah.
But that's just the first phase, because then the second phase would be contact lenses.
Oh, wow. I haven't thought about that,
glasses,
actually.
And the third phase would be brain-computer interfacing, so reading directly from the brain.
Which Elon Musk is already...
But the thing is that his approach is an invasive approach. You need to undergo surgery. Here I'm saying without even
I see. All right. Okay.
Contactless.
All right. Makes sense. Alexiei, we can keep on going. You've said so many interesting stuff today. I think you changed the perception of a lot of people, not as such the opinion, but at least we got to know more about AI without me asking you, what's AI? Because I think you've answered that question so many times. All right. But the greatest thing I heard about it, and the best explanation, is when you actually gave the example of the World War and how it actually originated and started off. Because even though I knew about the Enigma machine, and there was a film about it, forgot its name for a while.
Imitation.
Yeah. Even though I knew about that, but I didn't realize that AI emerged from that.
Yeah.
So while you can get afraid and have your own doubts about it, remember that it can do a lot of also good things to humanity. Prof. Alexiei, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Very much for coming here. See you next Thursday.